Hello guys, this is Javons, and I'm here to tell you today about the Xbox One Slim and a few other little details. So, considering that Sony is doing their press event today, I'm excited at the news and the possibilities of what Sony can bring. I'm a Microsoft guy, and I know even though I'm a Microsoft guy, that what Sony does can affect our console as well. So, before I even start talking about other things, I'm just going to talk about the Xbox One Slim, some of the features that people claim it doesn't have, the 4K upscaler to games. Yes, it does do that. 4K videos, does it beautifully. You don't believe me? Try Netflix and watch Crouching Tiger, the Hidden Dragon movie. And I swear to you, the entrance to that movie is just beautiful. There's literally a scene where they show like a landscape of her, I think, walking in the forest or in the town, or outside the town, where it's just rocks and trees, and the foliage looks so beautiful. Like, that is basically the image quality of the 4K. And what it does to games also is it makes the games look, I want to say, cleaner. You know, a little shinier. If you don't believe me, play Halo 5. Or play play Ark. Ark has 480p pixels until I think they did the Scorched Earth Scorched Earth DLC, and that game looked wonderful. As you're gonna see in the video what I do right now, the game takes a little time to load up properly and before the textures fully pop into place and everything. But once you go outside and you look around and you see the grass, the sands, the dinosaurs, you say this is a beautiful looking game. Even though they haven't even implemented the 720p yet, it's still beautiful. So imagine what happens when they actually put the 1080p pixels on it. So with that being said, now the 4K upscaler for Netflix, because I haven't seen a lot of other content for it for just native 4K. But the upscaler for Netflix works wonderfully. Watch the TV show Burn Notice if you want to see how beautiful that could be. Even if you have a regular 4K TV and you have Netflix, watch Burn Notice. You'll get to see how wonderful your upscaler or the 4K actually looks. But when you look at the native 4K content, now that's on a different level. The jaggies that you would see in some of the picture quality or the haziness is totally gone. Let me tell you, 4K is so clear, you wonder if you're really looking at 4K or if it's just something else.
There you are.
And by something else, I mean like how beautiful it looks. I remember someone came to my house and was watching Burn Notice on my 4K TV and Xbox One S, and they said it looked like you were talking to somebody through a window. That's how beautiful it looked. Then again, they probably only have the 1080p TV, so you know. Now, as far as the games are concerned, the 4K upscaler on the Xbox One S does work wonders for some of the games. I mean, all the games show a little clearer, a little more beautiful, you know. If I would love to see what maybe a PS4 with a 4K upscaler would look like, not Neo, but like a regular PS4 with a 4K upscaler. Because if you remember games like Black Flag, they had, you know, extra assets on the PS4. But now that the Xbox One has caught up in a sense with the optimization and their coding, you know, the games, the third-party games are starting to look a lot more even between both. Even, for instance, games that might run on 720p on Xbox and 900p on PlayStation, but those are far and few between. Those are just like the graphical heavy engines, like for instance the Battlefield 1 and Battlefront engine. By the way, those games are fantastic. Even at 720p, they look fantastic. Right? It shows you like the pixel count. I mean, in some games, it's I guess you could say it shows itself. But in other games, it doesn't even make any sense. Because let's face it, unless you're gonna be sitting next to your graphical heavy PC that could push 12 teraflops or even 8 to 10 teraflops, hell, even 6 teraflops. But I mean, it doesn't really matter the teraflops as long as it's greater than the PS4 and the Xbox One. So let's say 3 or 2. 2 is greater, but 3 is give you a reasonable upgrade. So let's say a 3 teraflop PC. You're gonna see slight differences, yes, but overall, it's gonna still be beautiful on no matter where you look. It's not gonna be like one guy's running in fast speed and one guy's doing like the slow motion. The graphics isn't that far apart. You can have 720p to I guess 1080p 60 ultra settings. So let's not go to 4K. So I mean, these games are still beautiful, and I think that it's just crazy that people are just downplaying the upscale on the Xbox One. And I have a 4K TV, but when I bought my TV, I did not buy HDR. You know, I bought my TV when it was just regular 4K before anybody started speaking about HDR. The only person who spoke about HDR then was Microsoft at like GDC. I'm not GDC, at Build 2014. Yeah, and at that point they were talking about how wonderful, you know, the HDR is, and how they realized that HDR was a better I guess you could say not even a better, but it showed more of a difference over just going straight to 4K. And I mean, even then they talked about things like tiled resources, which I'm still waiting to see how wonderful that could be, because I think it's something like you can move like you'd say a couple gigs of memories across a 32 MB SRAM by using tiled resources, which I think is just a wonderful idea. But when you think about it, it also makes sense as to why first-party studios could constantly hit 1080p or show such beautiful visuals and continually do it without, you know, having the third parties be able to keep up, because they have that technology at hand. But at the same time, the third party might not necessarily go into it. You know, like they have dedicated servers, and the companies that need dedicated servers, like I say, a Madden or 2K, who should use the Azure servers, don't use it. You know, but now the Xbox One S by itself, to me, if you look at aesthetically, just the look of the console is beautiful compared to the regular Xbox One. It's smaller. I mean, they say 40% between the Xbox One and I move the brick and I just put my One S console. I swear it's like at least 50% of the space is gone. You know? Not to mention the standard on the side. And there's just so many things with that. It's super quiet. Like when I played Ark, Survival Evolved, or Elite Dangerous, when they were booting up, the fan would spin loudly for about maybe 2 to 5 seconds. I guess while they pumped up the graphics, because not everybody fully uses the system. So while they turn the system on to max, I guess you the proper way to put it, they would boot up the fan, you know, to cool it down. Now, no matter what game you play, you never hear the fan. It never rumbles. You never hear anything. Sometimes, if your TV is off, the only way you can tell that console is on, literally, is if you see the white Xbox One power button on the front. That's it. The console is that quiet. And it's being that quiet and so small, you can say it's almost invisible. But that's just my take on it. But I'll be doing more videos, and I'll be letting you guys know more of my opinions on things. You know, I tried to stare at the console, I guess the console wall with the fanboy things, and talk about the PS4 Neo and the Slim, and I mean, I don't try to speculate. I mean, when I heard that Microsoft was coming out with the Scorpio and PlayStation came out with the Neo, and they were saying PlayStation was using the 480. I said, if PlayStation is using the 480, there's no way Microsoft is using it. Everybody's like, no, Microsoft is using an overclocked version. I was like, the way graphics work with console and PC, whatever's on the PC side gets underclocked to the console side, you know? So whatever's doing 6 teraflops on the PC is going to only do maybe 4.5 on the console. But I saw that coming for a long time. I knew they were going to use the, I don't know what CPU they're using. I'm speculating that they're going to use the Zen, like everybody else. But I did that from the very beginning. you know, because I realized that they wanted more power and they were asking for too much out of this Jaguar CPU core. But like I said, I'm gonna start doing more videos. I'm gonna do a recore, and I'm gonna do reviews for all of them. I love NBA 2K, so I'm thinking about doing a 2K league and just show videos of it, me versus other teams or other people and things like that.